You want to change your life. And you want to see results, not in some distant future, but in a short and clear time frame, 2 months. Most people believe that deep transformation takes years. But the samurai path reveals something different. With the right code of discipline, 60 days are enough to become unrecognizable to your old self. Most people expect motivation to bring change, but that is a trap. Motivation rises and falls like the tide. What Musashi discovered is that discipline, not inspiration, forges transformation. And when you follow his code with precision, 2 months of consistency are more powerful than years of scattered effort. Why should you trust this? Because Musashi himself, undefeated in more than 60 duels, lived by these exact principles. He was not born extraordinary. He trained relentlessly, stripping away excuses until his very nature became discipline. His life proves that the samurai code is not philosophy, but a practical method. In the next steps, you will see how to apply this code for 60 days. Not theory, but a path you can follow to break procrastination, sharpen focus, and rebuild confidence from the inside out. By the end, you will understand why the samurai never needed motivation, because their discipline made results inevitable. The first transformation that the samurai code demands is brutal, recognizing where you really are. Musashi called it seeing without veils, facing yourself without excuses or illusions. Most people believe they are busy, that they are trying, that they are almost there, but in reality, they are only repeating cycles of distraction and postponement. Without this shock of honesty, there is no true change. The mind lies to itself. You create justifications, little stories that ease the pain of temporary failure. I don't have time, I'll start tomorrow, I just need the right motivation. Musashi refused these deceptions. He believed that only by measuring every action with rigor could a person change their destiny. This harshness was not cruelty, but discipline to stop living in illusions. That is why the first step in these 2 months is simple yet devastating. Record reality. Write down every wasted hour, every delayed decision, every moment of distraction. What looks small reveals the depth of the problem. This practice is not about guilt, but about clarity. Without clarity, there is no confidence. Without confidence, there is no action. This shock of truth hurts, but it is precisely this pain that awakens awareness. As Musashi wrote, accept everything exactly as it is. When you face the raw truth about your habits, you discover that you don't need motivation to change. The discomfort reality itself becomes fuel for the beginning of discipline. Musashi said that the most dangerous enemy was not the one holding the sword, but the one who made you hesitate before the strike. That inner enemy is procrastination. It shows up as a gentle voice promising relief. Tomorrow will be better. I'm not ready yet. But each postponement steals pieces of your life until months and years vanish with nothing changed. The samurai code teaches that the right moment does not exist. The only time is now. Musashi did not wait for the perfect motivation to train. He trained, and motivation followed. Procrastination is defeated only by minimal action, almost insignificant. That breaks inertia. It doesn't matter if it's 1 page read, 1 decision made, or 1 exercise started. Power lies in the first step. 2 months are enough to reprogram the mind. If you understand this principle, don't wait to feel ready. Readiness is born from movement. The act of beginning creates energy, while the act of waiting drains it. Each time you take action before feeling like it, you are training not just your body, but your mind to trust itself. This is a key of the samurai. Act even in doubt, even in fatigue, even in discomfort. Confidence does not come before action. It comes after. By repeating this cycle for 60 days, you notice something powerful. Procrastination loses its grip because your identity changes. You are no longer someone who delays. You become someone who acts. Musashi never relied on fleeting inspiration. He built his life around rituals. Small gestures repeated every day until they became part of his identity. A samurai was not forged only in duels. His discipline was shaped by every repeated practice, every routine carried out with precision. This is the secret that turns 2 months into a turning point. Not grand actions, but small, consistent habits reshape destiny. The mind seeks shortcuts and tries to negotiate. You can skip today, tomorrow you'll make up for it. But it is precisely when you keep a ritual, even without desire, that transformation occurs. Daily repetition engraves into the brain that the practice is non-negotiable. Over 60 days, what started as conscious effort becomes automatic, and what once felt impossible becomes natural. These rituals don't have to be grand. They can be 10 minutes of silence in the morning, a short set of exercises, or writing down daily tasks. What matters is not complexity, but constancy. For Musashi, even calligraphy was spiritual training. Each stroke of the brush was mental discipline to keep the mind steady in the present. In 2 months, daily rituals stop being simple activities and become anchors. They sustain your focus on good days and hard days alike. And eventually, you don't depend on motivation to begin. You begin because it is who you are. This is the essence of the samurai code. Making extraordinary results a natural consequence of ordinary actions repeated daily. Musashi once said that the warrior must follow the way of both the sword and the brush, meaning the body and the mind must be trained with equal intensity. He did not believe in physical strength alone, nor in intellect without discipline. True self-confidence is born from a harmony between what you think and what you do. 60 days of conscious practice can balance these two forces and generate unshakable transformation. The body, when disciplined, becomes a foundation that supports the mind. Exercise, posture, and physical endurance send a silent message to the brain. I am prepared. The mind, when trained, directs the body with clarity and prevents laziness or fear from dictating action. This union removes self-sabotage because both work as one. In practice, this balance can begin simply. Focusing on breathing, maintaining consistent sleep, practicing basic physical movements, or dedicating a few minutes to silence or reflective writing. The secret is not extreme difficulty, but regularity. Over 60 days, these gestures create an inner code of trust. For Musashi, calligraphy mattered as much as combat. To him, writing with perfection was as vital as cutting with precision. This balance is a key to not breaking under pressure. When body and mind are forged together, the result is a presence that radiates confidence without the need for words. Most people collapse when chaos arrives. A sudden criticism, a financial setback, or an unexpected failure. These shake the weak to their core. The samurai code teaches otherwise. Chaos is not an enemy to eliminate, but a battlefield where the mind is tested. When you learn to remain firm within turbulence, nothing can break your focus. The key lies in seeing every crisis as inevitable. A warrior who steps into battle already accepts that uncertainty will come. His stability comes not from perfect conditions, but from inner readiness. During these 60 days, your exercise is simple. When chaos appears, do not react with despair. Treat it as the dojo that trains your resilience. This can be practiced in daily life. Traffic becomes training for patience. Criticism becomes practice for calm. A failed project becomes a lesson rather than a catastrophe. With each challenge faced serenely, you prove to yourself that you can maintain direction even when the world shakes. Standing firm does not mean being rigid to the point of breaking. It means becoming like a mountain that remains unmoved by the storm. This silent strength inspires trust not only in you, but in those around you. That is why the samurai code transforms lives. It teaches you to be an anchor of stability in a chaotic world. True discipline rarely reveals itself in great achievements, but in silent, unseen choices. Invisible consistency is built in the unnoticed moments. The early rising, the unskipped routine, the private promises kept without applause. These gestures, repeated over 60 days, create a fortress that no external storm can touch. This consistency does not depend on motivation. It is a habit of showing up, of practicing without an audience, of doing what you said you would do simply because it is who you are. Over 2 months, repetition carves deep grooves in the mind until a new discipline is automatic. What once looked small now defines your destiny. Confidence built this way is indestructible because it does not depend on external validation. Each fulfilled promise strengthens your bond with yourself, and that trust is unshakable. You no longer seek strength outside because you carry it within. The samurai knew this truth well. Alone in caves, far from recognition, Musashi trained day after day with no witnesses. That invisible consistency is what made him undefeatable. And it is this same principle that will make you solid if you practice faithfully for 60 days. Most people run from pain. They see it as the enemy. But the warrior's path reveals something else. Pain is a teacher. Every discomfort hides a lesson, and only those who dare face it receive its wisdom. The transformation begins the moment pain stops being an obstacle and becomes a tool. Discomfort grows the body, mistakes sharpen the mind, and frustration matures the spirit. Those who seek pleasure alone remain weak, dependent on favorable conditions. Those who embrace pain become free, for they are no longer slaves to comfort. In 60 days, you can change your relationship with challenges by welcoming pain as part of training. This does not mean chasing suffering for its own sake. It means reframing discomfort, cold mornings, criticism, pressure, or failure. Instead of asking, "How do I escape this?" you ask, "How can this make me stronger?" Pain stops being destructive and becomes constructive. When you realize that even pain serves your growth, fear loses its power. You no longer dread hardship because you have turned it into fuel. This is how discipline becomes unshakable. Not by avoiding discomfort, but by forging strength directly through it. What separates the strong from the weak is not that they never fall, but that they always return. Everyone stumbles. Everyone gets tired. Everyone loses discipline at times. The difference lies in what happens next. The samurai code teaches that failure is not in the fall, but in refusing to rise. In your 60 days, you will slip, you will miss a day, skip a ritual, or lose focus. That is expected. But each time you return, you build resilience. The return itself becomes your training. Confidence grows because you learn that no mistake can end your journey unless you let it. This practice prevents perfectionism from destroying progress. You stop punishing yourself for errors and instead practice immediate return. Today, in this very moment, that reflex is what transforms weakness into power. As Musashi wrote, "Never stray from a way." This does not mean never failing, but never abandoning the return. It is the act of coming back that forges a mind no obstacle can defeat. After weeks of following the samurai code, something profound begins to happen. Discipline is no longer effort, it becomes identity. You don't have to convince yourself to act, because action flows naturally from who you are. Procrastination loses power. Chaos no longer shakes you, and even pain ceases to frighten you. This is the moment when you step into the identity of the unshakable. This identity is not arrogance. It is quiet humility, born of inner certainty. You no longer need to prove yourself to others because you trust the bond you've built with your own word. External judgment loses its grip because confidence is moved inward. This is the strength that radiates without noise, the presence of someone anchored in discipline. 60 days may sound short, but live with precision. They can equal years of half-hearted attempts. Each day, each return, each ritual strengthens a mental code of a person who refuses to be ruled by weakness. And that shift is irreversible. You're no longer trying to be confident. You are confident. Being unshakable does not mean never feeling fear or doubt. It means experiencing them without surrendering. It is the ability to continue despite storms, to stand tall when others collapse. And when this identity forms, the world feels it without you needing to announce it. Your discipline speaks louder than words. 60 days might look like a small chapter in life, but when lived with discipline, they can redefine an entire story. The samurai code does not offer quick fixes. It offers something far more powerful: transformation through constancy. 2 months of committed practice can break chains of years of procrastination and forge the habits of an entirely new self. The principle is not perfection, but repetition. No matter how many times you falter, what matters is a return. Each day completed, each ritual honored, each choice of discipline over weakness builds upon the last until the foundation is unshakable. Progress at first may seem invisible, but it accumulates silently until it becomes undeniable. Musashi himself proved this truth. Thousands of cuts with a wooden sword shaped his skill before he ever stepped into real combat. Victory was never sudden. It was earned stroke by stroke, day after day. Likewise, 60 days of following the code with fidelity will shape your life with strength impossible to deny. By the end, you will see that the goal was never about external applause, but about becoming someone whose actions flow naturally from inner strength. This is what it means to live by the code. Not waiting for motivation, but making discipline your very nature. Musashi's legacy was not merely the art of combat, but the revelation that the human mind can be forged until it becomes unbreakable. The secret is not waiting for inspiration, but creating a discipline so steady it becomes your second skin. 60 days may look small, but they are enough to rebuild your focus, break procrastination, and ignite confidence. Here is a bonus insight for staying until the end. Discipline is not a cage, it is freedom. It doesn't shrink your life, it expands it. Because when you trust yourself to keep your own word, you stop needing the world's approval. The path itself becomes your reward. Never forget, perfection doesn't change your life. Constancy does. And when you choose constancy, success stops being a goal and becomes a consequence. This is the power of the Samurai Code, to transform you from within until nothing and no one can shake your confidence again.